Okay, so I know I just made several videos making fun of all the people who love to say back in my day and kids today can never survive blank. And I stand by everything I've said. But sometimes I'll look back on the years where I spent the majority of my childhood. The 2000s, the television, the music, the culture, the fashion. Oh God, the fashion. 9/11 was actually so traumatizing that celebrities would go through their entire wardrobes, put these outfits on, look in the mirror, and say, this one. To me, it only feels like yesterday, but apparently enough time has passed since the 2000s that the fashion is somehow making a comeback. And you kids call it Y2K and McBling. Fuck out of here with that shit. And even more wild and aggressively tasteless than the fashion was the TV. We Zillennials learned a lot from what we saw on TV. We learned what it means to be a patriot, as explained by Shia LaBeouf. We were taught that being this size meant that you were a whale and should be shamed by society. We learned the true meaning of evil on MTV, and we learned that Tyra Banks is actually out of her goddamn mind. And all this leads me to wonder, as my Gen X and Boomer friends have as well, could kids today even survive the 2000s, let alone the 80s and 90s? Greetings, my good bitches. The name's Francis, Coke Francis. I'm an editor, comedy writer, drag artist, and I'm here because I just now finally saw the Barbie movie. Listen, I hated Barbie when I was a kid, okay? It was nothing personal. We just didn't vibe. So every time I was given a Barbie as a child, I would throw the doll in the trash, but I'd keep all of her clothes, and then I'd dress up my toy dinosaurs in drag. And as you can tell, nothing has changed. But as I grew up, I realized that Barbie is actually the baddest bitch who ever lived. And look, from what I had already seen, I knew the Barbie movie was gonna be great. And even though I had originally intended seeing it just for Margot Robbie, it ended up being one of the most well-crafted and touching comedies ever made. And one of the most poignant critiques on toxic masculinity and about how difficult it is to just exist as a woman. And seeing such an important film for both women and men in this current era not only triggered tears for me, but also repressed memories of something else I saw on TV as a child. Remember Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House in the Barbie movie? Okay, so it's that, but it was an entire channel on cable television. And it wasn't for the purposes of comedy or making a point on toxic masculinity. Oh no. There was unironically a channel just for dudes. Now, of course, there's nothing inherently wrong with men's interest content, but holy fuck, was this channel and everything on it a product of its time. So strap in as you watch a Queer in a Dress take a deep dive into the world of Spike TV, which was literally just Paramount being like, won't someone please just think of the men for once? But before we do, if you are a fan of watching a very tired drag queen talk about nerd shit forever, I ask that you please approach a Hollywood executive and tell them that you have a revolutionary idea for television, that it will redefine and empower an entire demographic. Hype it up as much as you can, and when their curiosity can't possibly be piqued any farther, pitch your idea by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. So all the way back when most of my favorite bands were still together, the Paramount Network was launched as the Nashville Network in 1983. It mainly focused on country music, the lifestyle and culture surrounding it, and all the rootinous tootinous content mainly designed to appeal to the US South. And they could have been the very first country music network had CMT not been launched just 2 days earlier. After bouncing between corporate conglomerates like Westinghouse Electric and CBS, its ownership was eventually shifted to Viacom in the late 90s. With CMT being a main competitor, the Nashville Network changed its name to TNN and tried to appeal to a wider demographic. Eventually it became the go-to for extreme sports and wrestling, which, by the way, I am so late to the party on wrestling. It's just drag for straight people. Incredible stuff. Anyway, TNN was folded into MTV TV in 2000 and officially changed its name to the National Network thereafter. By 2002, the network was airing a number of programs that were deemed male-oriented, like Baywatch, Monster Jam, Star Trek, because as you know, there are no female Trekkies. But this sparked an idea for the geniuses at Paramount, who felt that their growing viewer demographic was being served insufficiently, and TNN would be relaunched as Spike TV in 2003, promoted with the slogan, "The First Network for Men," as opposed to I don't know, everything but Lifetime. All was fine and good until director Spike Lee actually won a Supreme Court injunction that would prevent the name change, since he believed that because of his popularity in the mainstream media that people would think Spike TV was referring to him, which meant that their big dick boy launch party at the Playboy Mansion had to be kept on the DL. Eventually the suit was settled later that year and TNN was finally allowed to call itself Spike TV. With the name change came a shift into more adult-themed programming, including a Stan Lee birthed animated series called Stripperella, and the only reason I won't be going into more depth about this is because I actually want to dedicate an entire video to it, because there is simply too much to cover here. But I will say that ex-stripper Janet Clover, who also went by Stripperella, filed a lawsuit against Viacom claiming that she is the creator of that character, and that Stan Lee stole her idea when she discussed it during a private dance session. Like I said, too much to cover here. They also launched an adult-oriented spin-off of Ren and Stimpy called Adult Party Cartoon, which sounds like it was named by Borat, and quickly went down in history as one of the worst animated series of all time. But now let's get into what really defined the first network for men. A constant horror show of mostly original content designed to capitalize off of young men's insecurities and this bizarre idea of masculinity that pervaded the 2000s. Truly cringe-inducing stuff that I am actually offended on behalf of straight men for, because I think it's an insult to your intelligence. Here are two videos. One is a Family Guy joke making fun of Spike TV. The other is an actual promo for Spike TV. See if you can spot the difference.
Spike TV, full of stuff men like. Yeah, that stuff.
There are far too many shows to cover in just one video, so I've handpicked my favorite examples of the best programming that the first network for men had to offer. We'll also be sticking to shows that first aired before 2010 because, well, that's the content I can capitalize off the most. Let's start off with the Spike Video Game Awards, which first aired in 2003, because there is a lot to talk about here. Eddie Burback already made a fantastic video about the entire history of the Game Awards. I will put the link in the description box because you absolutely should watch it. So it wasn't until like, I don't know, 2018 when the new God of War came out that video games were finally seen as art by the mainstream. And today's Game Awards are pretty much your standard award show, of course with exceptions like that one kid who rushed the stage and Christopher Judge's 10-hour acceptance speech. Even the orchestra plays people off early. They truly are a real award show now. And aside from Ben Starr not winning Best Performance this year, they are a massive improvement over, well, this. The following is real footage from the very first Spike Video Game Awards in 2003. Viewer discretion is advised.
If you don't watch Spike TV's Video Game Awards, you'll miss fine female athletic prowess. Are you ready for action? As you can see there, the magnificent ball handling.
You guys want to see our wieners?
Oh, Oh, and look at her using both hands to vigorously protect her zone.
Yes, good bitches, before people realized that gay nerds like myself partake in playing video games regularly, the whole video game culture was this weird niche thing that catered to the people, well, that you see here. Like, this is just another extension of the trash TV that plagued the 2000s, with enough frosted tips, t-shirts over long sleeve shirts, and fisheye lenses to make you puke up all the Monster you drank last night while playing Call of Duty. I'm not saying every gamer is like this. I'm saying that the people who produced this show thought this is what all gamers are like. The only people like this are the ones physically present at this show. It kind of reminds me of that All Gas No Brakes video at the AVN convention, because it's not just adult entertainers who go there, it's also the types of civilians who pay real money to attend a porn convention. Oh yeah, and renowned Trump supporter Jenna Jameson shows up a bunch too. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's the fact that every time she does, she brings up how everybody watching is a virgin and how they'll never get any of this, but then she'll say that she wants them to. I don't know. The capitalization off of men's sexual insecurities is one of the more infuriating aspects of this.
I'm just gonna get undressed here.
We're only 18 minutes into this. I also love all the aggressively 2000s music acts they got to perform. It's probably the best thing they've got going here. But apparently they didn't think that, so every time one happens, they also bring out dozens of cheerleaders, because what dude doesn't like cheerleaders? Am I right, fellas? So they finally bring out David Spade to host the show, because who else could better embody a 12-year-old trapped in a 45-year-old's body? And that's exactly who Spike TV seems to think plays video games.
You know, interesting fact about the Raiderettes, a third of them are dudes.
Good one.
And the trophy girls for the night, the DOA girls from Extreme Beach Volleyball, easy on the eyes. Nice! You get a good shot right here in the front.
My partner stayed home from prom to play Final Fantasy VII. Okay, that's who plays video games. Honestly, good for this girl for finally throwing a wrench into this act.
Kinda looks like a Pac-Man and a Space Invader. What?
Take a crap?
No, had a baby. I was gonna say, good lord, jeez.
I hope she's doing great right now. You all know Lara Croft, right? One of the original bad bitches in video games. Basically female Indiana Jones. Triangle-shaped boobs. Angelina Jolie played her in a movie. The recent Tomb Raider games are pretty much just torture porn, but hey, she's still super cool, right? Surely, the preview for this new Lara Croft game will give her the recognition she deserves as a badass female protagonist.
Lovely Lara Croft is back, and once again, she's got no time for boys.
I need to find a man.
We know. To really enjoy this game, you've got to learn to make Lara do exactly what you want her to do.
I hate this.
Up the ladder, down the ladder. Up the ladder, down the ladder. Up the, down the ladder.
Then Jenna Jameson comes out again to remind everyone of their virginity, and the show is finally fucking over. The 2004 awards were pretty much more of the same, and even though there was still plenty of cringe to go around, they slightly classed up the joint by 2005. By that, I mean there wasn't quite as much 1960s era sexism from a washed-up comedian who looks and sounds like he's too lazy to be an abusive stepdad. Instead, we're treated to a promo for their new series, Fresh Baked Video Games, a game review show with comedy sketches, pranks, animations, and most importantly, a segment called A Free Video Game for a Shot to the Nuts. See, PS Plus hadn't been invented yet, so people resorted to, this.
Blitz the league. Who wants to get kicked in the nuts? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Oh God, it's getting real right now.
I genuinely thought this was Bert Kreischer at first. Part of me wishes it was, and part of me is glad it isn't. So this one's called The Joe Schmo Show, and where do I even start with this one? It was a hoax show where they'd cast some random dude to believe he was on a competitive reality TV series for a whole year without knowing that everyone on it, including the host, were all just actors. It even features a baby Kristen Wiig and, of course, it is the 2000s after all, the problematic gay character. It's pretty much the closest thing to the Truman Show that we ever got, and even though it's conceptually kind of fucked up, the first season ended up being kind of wholesome at the end. It was all thanks to this guy Matt, the chosen Joe Schmo, who ended up being a really nice guy.
What is going on? Are you freaking kidding?
The whole point of it was just to elicit funny reactions from the target in scripted situations, and the original intent of the end reveal was to make audiences laugh, embarrass some average white guy on national TV, big prank, haha, you get the picture. But this Matt fellow was such a cool dude and such a great sport about the reveal that this made me feel actually warm and fuzzy inside. Plus, all the prizes that he had initially thought were going to other contestants ended up going to him instead.
Because the prizes are also real as well. They're all yours. Right. I can't believe it!
Damn, this was nice. It's so genuine that maybe even the gay guy is actually gay.
Dude, are you at least gay?
Oh, yeah. I figured. It's fine. I hope Matt is doing okay. In fact, there's so much positivity here that I think we need to shift into something different. Let's move on to a classic. We're gonna take a brief tour of Manswers, a show that Eric Andre affectionately described as, if Maxim Magazine and Crystal Meth had a baby, it would give anal birth to the show Manswers. Curtis Connor already made an in-depth video about this show, which I will also link below. It's questions that Spike thinks guys have, explained by experts who likely had no idea what they were getting into, and demonstrated by women with terrible eyebrows.
Damn, that's something your dude will want to know too. A study by the National College of Neuropathic Medicine found that rubbing vitamin E on a pair of melons reduces tenderness and inflammation. But could it also make those breasts bigger? Dude, that's every man's dream! We asked Manuel Ferreira, the AVN Male Performer of the Year, and Starr for over 860 films.
You leave Manuel Ferreira the fuck out of this.
Can you bounce a quarter off a stripper's ass? Not all asses are created equal, so we got 3 different ones. Watch again. Right there!
I think what I love the most about this is that the people who wrote this either have never been to a strip club or they know that most of their audience has never been to a strip club. Because the idea of strippers and strip clubs is exciting if you've never been, right? And listen, I enjoy an attractive naked lady as much as the next guy. But then one day you actually go to a real strip club, you might even strike up an actual conversation with a stripper, and then you realize, oh my god, this is actually super boring. These girls are working hard and are probably bored out of their goddamn minds. And then you end up giving them even more money than you had planned. Aside from the women seen here, there is no way that anybody involved in this has actually ever been to a strip club.
How could a lap dance jumpstart your car?
When two objects are rubbed together, this creates an electric charge.
2 objects like her trunk and your junk. It's 3 hours and our dude's getting charged up because we're halfway there.
Then again, this was back when Girls Gone Wild was still a thing you could rent or see ads for at 4 a.m. and kids couldn't access Pornhub with their parents' iPads, so it was probably a lot more titillating, wink, for its time.
What drink is most likely to get you into her pants? Absinthe. This green booze was banned for years because it contains a muscle-relaxing chemical called thujone, and it's potent.
Oh, okay, this is dark. Let's move on to something a little bit more less rapey. If any of you watching weren't alive to witness it, the genre of adult men intentionally hurting themselves in funny ways was immensely popular in the 2000s. So here's a show called The Dude Sins, which is like if you asked your mom if you could get Jackass and she said that you had Jackass at home. Essentially, it's a group of friends in Finland who, according to Steve-O, have been doing this even longer than the Jackass gang, but for some reason still prompted me to ask, okay, how old are you guys again? Or am I just getting old? This is coming from someone who laughed out loud at the Jackass movies. Judge me all you want. I'm valid in the eyes of the Lord.
Crazy fire, dude. Yeah.
Truly the Millencolin of stunt comedy groups, but apparently they were massively successful. They also made a movie in 2006. They have over 3 million subs on YouTube, so who am I to deny them their fun? They ain't hurting anybody, except themselves. Moving on. Who doesn't love Japanese game shows? There's a reason they're popular worldwide. They are completely batshit and over the top and far funnier than anything Netflix tries to peddle every week, and definitely one of the better choices in content on behalf of Spike TV. The only good things they aired were shows that weren't even originally theirs. The first one we'll look at is Hey Spring of Trivia, which is an English dub of Fountain of Trivia, and it's clips and commentary on the most stupid and useless trivia, with 5 judges voting on how interesting or not each fact is.
In America, there is a smelliest shoe contest.
I'd win for sure.
God bless America.
Land of the free.
It is delightfully stupid. I mean, I think we all could have done without the cringy Asian voices they decided to do in the English dub.
Nice steppers.
Which were thrown in more frequently than they should have been. And by that, I mean at all. There was also Most Extreme Elimination Challenge, shortened to MXC, and was actually one of Spike's most popular shows to date. It was pretty much your standard reality show with teams competing in certain challenges and obstacle courses. Think Squid Game or Legends of the Hidden Temple, but with less stakes and much more silliness.
Here's Kenny earlier this afternoon.
I tested the wall first. For my homies.
Kenny, you don't seem to be really testing your suit. There you are. Now.
I was screaming for dramatic effect.
Fun, right? Except this wasn't just an English dub of a Japanese show. It was actually all just footage from a conceptually similar show called Takashi's Castle, but reused and repurposed with new storylines, characters, narrators, you name it. Not that there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I do find it funny that one of Spike's most popular shows was one that wasn't even theirs in the first place. Here's a fun one. This is DEA, a reality show about the narcs who have made it nearly impossible for me to get my Vyvanse.
Why do you got a DVD stuck in your ass?
If you find a drug dealer in one of these neighborhoods, he's pretty high up. You know, we're onto something.
Please, DEA! Please! Get down!
It's just so funny watching stuff like this from 20 years ago when just this morning, and I'm not even kidding, I drove past a head shop that actually had posters advertising new flavors of Kratom. I actually don't have that much to say about this one. I just wanted another excuse to say, fuck the DEA, give me my goddamn meds, you fascist ghouls. And of course, this wouldn't be a complete video about Spike TV without mentioning one of their most famous shows to date, 1,000 Ways to Die. This one recreated true stories about weird, unusual, or Darwin Award-winning deaths, and debunked urban legends about others. And similar to Manswers, they'll propose something really fucking stupid and then interview medical experts about it so they can be like, it's science! Now, I actually remember watching this one with my dad every so often, and I found it kind of funny and interesting, because I was, you know, in middle school. So let's take a look at what passed for entertainment during my formative years.
Chris is a little guy, living large. He's got his full-size stripper girlfriend snapping pics as he tries out the latest internet stunt, planking Mr. Plank and his skank.
Oh, again with Spike's obsession with strippers. I feel like OnlyFans and camming and independent sex work has become so normalized and ingrained into our culture now that when you look back on the years before that, it's so hilariously cringe seeing grown men get this excited over strippers. It has the same energy as men who got excited over a woman showing her ankle back in the 19th century.
The young couple heard a terrible screaming. What they saw was something that will haunt them forever. A man torn in two, clinging to life.
Why'd they blur out the severed body? Her hair extensions are far worse to look at.
Mother Nature wants me dead, but instead, I'm gonna punch her right in the face. I can do this.
Honestly, this is me watching Forged in Fire. Alright, you know what? I can see why my tweenage goth ass enjoyed this show. In that case, let's end this on a positive note because my brain was fried after writing this script. Now, you might be thinking, Jesus fucking yellow penguins, Francis, how is this channel even real? How could this be allowed on television in 2024? Well, that's because it isn't. Spike ended up going by the wayside in 2018, but before that happened, a few years after Spike's launch, Viacom conducted a survey to get the public opinion of the channel, and much of the feedback consisted of lowbrow, violent, and reliant on sex appeal. Again, it's almost as if nobody, including men, asked for this channel to be made. They changed their slogan from the first network for men to get more action. They also ordered new reality shows to be produced that you've probably heard of, like Bar Rescue and Repo Games. The Spike Video Game Awards ended in 2014, and the channel in general was trying to shift its tone in a different direction, essentially wanting to be more like Esquire and less like Maxim. However, in 2017, it was announced that Spike would simply be relaunched as the Paramount Network, but this didn't happen quietly. They began a viral marketing campaign to promote the launch by asking viewers to call and email the chief marketing officer to protest the end of Spike, and the Spike Twitter account posted some absolutely golden, self-hating tweets during its final days. Well, since I'm out of here anyway, I might as well tell you all the things I've been holding in for the past 18 years. Brace yourself, bros. Shit's about to get real. Hashtag goodbye Spike. Hashtag Spike Unfiltered. There's a reason all our early shows were CSI, UFC, TNA, MXC, UTI. No one around here knows how to read. The Get More Action tagline was actually my personal mantra. I was in a 3-month dry spell. The Church of Scientology kicked me out. Sit with that a moment. I'd like to leave my collection of leather wrist cuffs to that special half-pipe brawler. You know who you are. My favorite number is 329 because it's the number of time Cops is on every night. I gave my entire staff empty gift cards as parting gifts because fuck them and their joy. I lost my virginity in one of the storage spaces from auction hunters. I never thought rebranding would be one of the 1,000 ways to die. I'm out. Peace. Spike's final moments were captured on a live stream where a giant model of the Spike logo was vandalized and later demolished. Well, on the positive side here, I finally figured out why we voted for Bush in 2004. We had a tumor in our country's brain with the Spike logo imprinted on it. Now, this may come as a shock to some of you, but I actually do know straight men. A lot of straight men, actually. Family, friends, acquaintances, colleagues, my Amazon delivery guy, my drug dealer, you name it. I don't know a single straight man who conforms to this bizarre idea of masculinity that Paramount assumed they would. I know some guys who are into sports, some into cars, some into action movies, all into women, but not all at once. The biggest takeaway here, though, is that Spike actually hated men and humanity in general. In their eyes, we were all stupid, limited, binary animals without souls. It's a worldview that's awfully convenient for the men who benefit from the status quo and not the male population at large. And that's the most painful aspect of this. It wasn't just regular guys who decided that this channel needed to be made, it was Paramount. After constantly losing to their competitors, they found a way to push push a narrative that TV was nothing but a cesspool of sissiness before Spike. Straight men were just starving for representation. Hey all you cool cats and dudes, are you tired of every channel on TV being just one big estrogen kick to the nuts? Here at Spike, we value your worth as nothing but a walking dick and balls, and you deserve a safe space on TV where you can fart, punch, shoot terrorists, and look at clothed boobies without any fear or shame. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with men's interest content, which is why they tried to shift the tone in recent years. But throughout most of the 2000s, Spike decided that men's interests consisted of the most neo-fascist, Gamergate, alt-right, 4chan, straight white fuckboy rapey dumb shit imaginable. And then when I ask myself, could kids today handle something like Spike TV, I think of all the misogynistic, scummy alpha males that pervade our online spaces at all times. Podcasters and influencers that kids potentially have access to anytime, anywhere. People who are quite literally spreading propaganda with little to no regard of who might be watching it. And these guys are even more dangerous and influential because podcasters and YouTubers and independent content creators make you feel like you're part of their group. It's a lot more intimate and personal than watching cable TV. And then I realized kids today might have it so much worse. There was a new South Park special episode that dropped last week that was basically about how influencers are bought and sold because corporations will do literally anything to market to children, no matter how dangerous or harmful it might be. The episode got a bit preachy at times, but I 1000% understand why. You can always tell when Matt Stone and Trey Parker are coming from a genuine place of anger and frustration, and knowing that they have school-age kids, they're probably witnessing this shit firsthand, and their anger is absolutely valid. Whether it's on cable TV or the internet, as far as content goes, it's full of the same shit that always comes up in reaction to progressive trends in culture. Entertainment executives and corporate sponsors don't want people who can progress past their prescribed categories. They don't want people to think, period. They want a secure return on their investment. And that's how we ended up with Spike TV and Lifetime in the 2000s, and whatever fucking daily nightmare we see on YouTube. But again, think of Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House. Everyone deserves their own space to like the things they like, hang out with the people they want to hang out with, regardless of gender. There's nothing wrong with being a guy who likes guy things if that's how you define them. Just, I don't know, don't be a weird dick about it. Toxic masculinity, etc., etc. I'm preaching to the choir here. My brain is fried after making this, and my ability to make words battery is at less than 1%. I am exhausted. This ended up getting way darker than I had intended it to. Capitalism is to blame once again. Anyway, I hate Spike TV and everything it inspired, but do you know what I love? Love Creed says, Gen X's superpower is invisibility. I don't know why I laughed so hard at that. Also, thank you all for schooling me on the wooden spoons bit. My tiny zillennial brain didn't even think to go there. Listen, I'm a dumbass, okay? You don't have to listen to me. You too can be featured in the next video. Leave a comment below and I will pick my favorite one and give you a shout out next time and pin you to the top of the comment section. If you would like to see more of my clown mug elsewhere, please consider following me on Instagram or TikTok. My handle for both is at Queen Coke Francis. If you enjoyed this video and you haven't done this already, please approach a Hollywood executive and tell them that you have a revolutionary idea for television, that it'll redefine and empower an entire demographic. Hype it up as much as you can, and just when their curiosity couldn't possibly be piqued any further, pitch it to them by going ahead and unzipping your pants and dick slapping those like and subscribe buttons as hard as you can. And, of course, as always, until next time.